are still talking about nurturing exceptional leaders. We are looking at the role of educational institutions. Now, Karim, you said something very profound. You said that we are preparing these young ones for the world and not just to pass examinations. So, which brings me to my next question there. How do we strike the balance between academic excellence and then grooming them towards certain leadership qualities, in your opinion?
So one thing I have realized is that you cannot force you can force the horse to the
Riverside.
Riverside.
but you
force
can't
it to
force it to
drink.
drink.
Drink the water.
Even if you force it to drink, it can choke,
Yeah.
right?
Okay. That's new.
Yes. So
Can
when you say that emphasizing on academic or balancing,
Striking
I
a
think that
balance.
one affects the other. There's no need to balance. One affects the other. Leadership is basic definition of leadership is influencing people, right?
Yes.
Now, the long stretch of it is taking responsibility. One of our critical goals in higher learning is to make children take responsibility. Once they can take responsibility, everything else will follow. And that includes the academic aspect of things. Once they know that I am responsible for my academic work, and it starts with basic things, right? I'm responsible for dressing well and looking good. I'm responsible for organizing my locker and my books. I'm responsible for keeping my desk organized and clean. I'm responsible for copying my homework. I'm responsible for bringing my homework diary for the teacher to sign. I'm responsible for waking up early and coming to school on time. Those things will follow the natural, and then the academic work will just be an easy addition to it. You understand what I mean?
Yes.
So one influences the other and not the opposite. From where I come from, I would say I like going to school because I was academically inclined.
Okay.
And that forced me to take responsibility because I have other friends who didn't like to go to school and could have easily influenced me to not to go to school. You understand? Because he said his mom is a teacher.
Yeah.
My parents couldn't read or write. You understand? So it could have been that if I didn't want to go to school, there wouldn't be so much of a force.
Yeah.
Yes.
But because I was academically inclined, I enjoyed being in school because that's where, I can also feel important.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what we have now is children, and these days children have a lot. And so very little things inspires them. Not so much inspire them. You can't do much to inspire them. But you can always tickle their brains. You can always get them involved. So from, like you said, class prefects, then this is something teachers can adopt. Who is going to share the papers today? If you are sharing the books, it shouldn't be always the teacher or the class prefect. You can call anyone to share the books to their colleagues. From who you call to answer the questions in class. These soft confidence builders, these soft leadership skills will actually get them to now take responsibility. Once you get the children to take responsibility, to enjoy what they are doing, then the academic work becomes an addition. You don't say that you guys, you are here to learn. If you fail, it's not my business. That emphasis will actually drive the child away. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
The most things is, don't say that you want to strike a balance between fun and learning. Use one to influence the other. Why can't learning be fun?
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
Why can't they play while you're doing maths? Right? Why can't they skip when they're counting? You understand what I mean? Why can't they use how do you call it? Legos when they are multiplying? Right? Why can't they sort out colors when they are doing addition or subtraction? So why can't they laugh when they are having a history lesson? Why can't they laugh when they're having an English lesson? Why can't they write poems for themselves? Why can't they make mistakes and laugh at their mistakes and correct their mistakes? So don't say that I don't agree with let's strike the balance. I agree with let one influence the other. And it can be either way. It can be those who are very good, they will like school because they are very good. But those who have the fun, they will like to do their work because there's a lot of fun in doing it. Do you get what I mean?
Yes, I get it. So you see, you mentioned something about making learning fun and eventually like bringing out leadership potentials in these students. It's possible when there are resources, but in instances where there's scarcity of resources, how then do we make these learning fun?
Yeah, so
Like,
no, yeah. So when I was listening to him, I was like, wow, beautiful things. Let one influence the other. That means you need to holistically design it, intentionally
Yes.
design it.
Intentionally
That is a
design
lot
it.
of
Yeah,
work,
yeah,
actually.
yeah.
That demands a lot of intentionality,
So,
right?
so Offset, I told you that these days teaching beyond the classroom, you are
Yeah.
always thinking about your
Yeah,
children,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's part of it.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So
But then, to your question, teachers are the most creative people we have on earth.
okay.
Teachers are very creative, and this is not beyond teachers, including public school teachers. I refuse to let anyone talk down on public school teachers,
Yeah.
especially
Yeah,
Ghanaian public school teachers, because I know how much effort they put in their work, and even with the limited resources.
Shout out to all the public school teachers
Yes,
listening.
look out for stuff like cultural festivals. How much effort they put into cultural festivals in their schools.
Yes, and it's even coming next month.
Exactly.
25th May.
Exactly. How much effort they put even in coaching. They don't have allowances for things like that, right? But look at how much effort they put in. I've seen public school teachers who use basic things like milk things, needle things for science experiments for the students, and the students actually enjoy it. So we only have to appeal to teachers to look beyond their conditions and continue to channel their creativity towards the children. As limited as your resources may be, it could be sticky notes. You could just, if you want children to learn how to spell, right? You can just give them a list of words on the board and scramble it. Let's see how much you've been able to unscramble. Read it to your friend. Does it make sense? Laugh at each other. From the laughing you correct your mistakes and stuff like that. Teachers can do it. Teachers have always been channeling their creativity, even in the midst of limited resources.
Yeah. So in all this, what I glean is that there's a need for intentionality,
Absolutely,
consciousness,
absolutely.
like especially with heads of institutions, founders of institutions. They need to listen to some of these things and inculcate them into what they are doing in the education sector, because it might sound easy, but it demands a lot of work. It demands a lot of commitment and commitment. So I think that is one of the things I've gleaned from all this, that if you want to not strike a balance, but make sure one influences the other,
yes.
and raise holistic people and all of that, we need to have this consciousness and
you have
intentionality.
to always make sure that the child is excited to come to school. The child must always be happy to come to school. If the child is happy to come to school, every problem is solved.
But you see, the other thing, sorry to send us back. You see, Dinah asked the question about academic excellence and all of that. How do we make sure that an academically good person who gets A in exam is also good when it comes to interpersonal relationship, leading things, taking responsibility of, and not just a bookworm? I think that is what we are looking at. And I get you when you say one influences the other, but it's a bit dicey.
Children are special, and as we are as humans, we have various approaches to the way we approach things. If a child is academically inclined and does not want to involve in other things, there are certain things you can do. You have to put the child in mind in your planning, right? So the first things you have to work on is communication and collaboration. Usually children who want to be reserved or pull behind have challenges in communication. Once they are able to communicate their ideas, then they can collaborate with others. So if you have a child who is so good, independent in thought, independent in mind, then you have to first of all make them feel special. Let me give you this example. You are academically inclined, very good. You want to work alone, work fast, right? Okay. She has not finished her work. She comes to you, say, "Sir, how am I going to do this?" Then I say, "Okay, go to Sly. He will explain it to you."
Okay.
So Saturday, Sly is feeling very important because he's playing the role of the teacher. But then he is speaking. He's building on his communication skills.
I love this example.
He's building on his...
But there are also instances where the teacher also go to Sly and say, no, say, I want you to...
Absolutely, it happens. No. Okay, the other guy saying, I won't go to Sly.
I want you, sir.
It depends on you as a teacher, actually.
How you go about
it. Especially when, some teachers unfortunately have the habit of making children feel less important. It's not a good thing. We have to put a stop to it. If you make the child feel like you don't know this. It's okay not to know it, but then I have explained to you twice. I think that Sly is in a better place to make it more understandable to you. I think the child will take it. The other thing is, let's be careful. Sly doesn't make him feel like he's dumb. That's why he's coming for explanation.
So it's a very tricky thing.
So it's a very tricky thing. In the classroom determines the situation. Sometimes I had a class where when I'm going to teach writing, I had many students who didn't understand the idea of creative writing. And so instead of teaching individually, I teach in a group. So we have a round table of its sort. So I say, you are the secretary for this group, you are the coordinator for this group, you are the leader of this group. So secretary, your job is to write every point that each member of the group brings. You, the coordinator, your job is to make sure the group has pencils, they have erasers, they have enough papers, they have the dictionary in the group they can refer to. And then the leader, yours is to come and present when the work is happening. Now, the leader is someone who doesn't like talking. So if he is coming to present, he has to make sure he's ready to talk.
Yes.
So that's, again, another way to get them coming out to talk. Class prefects, for example, they have to say something. If someone is celebrating his birthday, the person who will read the class message to the celebrant could be someone who doesn't talk much. So that
this intentionality,
they will be, certainly you are getting them to start talking. If you need someone to go and bring a marker from the office, you have to send that person. If you need someone to hold your laptop while you're going back to your office after teaching, you have to go along with that person. While you're going along, you are seeking feedback from the person. Especially for the girls who are becoming teenagers. Their eyes may be down, they may be shy, but you are getting them to talk anyway. And so within, the academic year is a long period. Within that year-long period, you realize that the person is now open to talking. Gradually, they start to talk. And then also, the more they relate with their friends, especially when they have a lot of activities they are doing together, the more they talk. Like I said, today at my workplace, we had an arts kind of competition. And each class has to represent their class. How well are you going to do it? It means that everyone has to make the effort, because you don't want another class to be first while your class will be last. So in there, you are
healthy
provoking some healthy competition among them. And so even the quietest who would like to contribute something, would like to hold the paint or hold the brush or bring water to clean up something. Yes, so it should be deliberate. Like I said, teaching today is enormous. It's an enormous job. But then
this is very important, because again, back to that balance question, how do we make sure that children who are clocking A's in BEC are also children who can relate with other people? Children who are good in class, are able to answer questions, are also able to solve problems at home. These same children are creative in mind. They are not just memorizing the things, right? Like we say, chew and pour. How do we make sure that we raise people who are not just people who regurgitate, like they say, but people who are able to create things? I think it's important. And the more Hamid talks, the more I want us to have part 2 of this, because these nuances and these dynamics are very important. They are very insightful. I love that.
For children who are so good, how to get them to want to communicate, right? Or want to be creative and stuff like that. For creativity these days, we leave a lot of it to the curriculum, design, and then implementation. In the design of the curriculum, you have the master design, which is what you are teaching, and then your own designs for lesson planning, lesson notes, and stuff like that, that you want to get the children to be creative about it. Then the implementation, that is the in-classroom implementation. Now, one trick I will always say is that every lesson has an activity. If you let a teacher think that a lesson doesn't have an activity, then it means that he's just going to do the talking from start to finish. But you have to deliberately, I think this should be for school owners and administrators.
No, I hope they will listen.
Every lesson has an activity. it's the job of the teacher to find the activity that suits the lesson and use it in the classroom so as to involve the learners as much as possible.
Okay.
You get what I mean? And once you do that, then you are getting the children to bring out their best.
Yeah.
The next part of it, which apart from creativity, is then the communication aspect. The communication can be challenging because naturally not all children love to open up and talk. But the more you create avenues for children to talk, the easier it is for them to talk. And at this level, they are willing and able to pick up skills that long term will be beneficial to them. So why do you kill the potential now? So like I said, there must be a deliberate effort through the way you design your lesson. One also is let me talk on this, the power of questioning in the classroom during lesson. Questioning is very important. The way the teacher asks their questions. You said someone doesn't want to answer a question in class. So at some point, it shouldn't be about they wanting to answer questions and those who raise their hands. When that happens, you may be calling a few people. You know, back in school, there was an elective maths class we're having, and then one guy said, "Sir, you know, in this class, we have tortoise, and then we have antelopes. You are running with the antelopes, and you are leaving as a tortoise." Because when he says, then those who are very good at elective maths, they answer the question, then he moves to the next step. And then those of us who don't really know what's happening, we are just sitting at the back watching, hoping he will hurry up and get out. You know? So you can't be working with those who raise their hands. It shouldn't be done. Questions should be deliberate and distributed. Questions shouldn't solicit yes or no answers. Questions should elicit explanations, thinking. Let me give a simple trick. I'm going to ask a question, right, about something. Now, everyone has 10 seconds to put their thinking caps on. So let's go. We pick our thinking caps, we move it, we put it on. Now we are going to think. Let's think about the question carefully. The time is up. Now, what have we thought about? Some raise their hands. You call the one who hasn't raised their hand. You say, I raised my hand, but you didn't call me. Say, yeah, it's true. I know you know. But I also know she knows, but she doesn't want to raise her hand. Okay, so let's know what you have there. Then she begins to talk. Even if she doesn't know, what she doesn't know is out now. We have the opportunity to change it. You get what I mean? So questioning is also a very important aspect of getting children to ask questions, to talk in the classroom. Some children don't like asking questions. You have to lead them to ask questions, right? You can tell them that you can go to class, just tear the A4 sheets into pieces, and then ask everyone to write their questions at the back of the paper, and then cross it with their friends, and then read the questions to you. Well, I must say that some of us have small class sizes, so it makes some of these activities, yes, but at least you can still do that. Well, you can also start your class by asking the children, let's use this simple matter, right? Let's say we are going to learn about matter. Say everyone should define what they think matter is on their papers, and then keep it. After the lesson, let them define matter again. Okay. What's the difference? Then they tell you. I don't know if you get what I mean. They tell you what they said first and what they know now.
Yes.
Then you are getting them to talk. You are getting them to think. You are also getting them to understand what you are teaching, and you are getting them to involve. So like I said, teachers must just look out for the things they will use in the teaching process to get the children excited.
It has been a very insightful discussion. I want to move away from the academic excellence. Now, when it comes to the role of the education institutions in nurturing young ones, we are saying that, yes, you have a role to play, but obviously you can't do it alone. So we are saying that there's a way you can leverage partnerships, or partnership with other bodies. How do you think, Karim, with your experience both in the public school and then with the private school, how can these two institutions leverage partnership? Now, you mentioned something about when you were in the rural community, how after school you're able to get these students. I'm sure you didn't do it alone as teachers. You got the support of the community members. So yes, how can we leverage partnerships to ensure that the educational institutions are able to nurture the kind of leaders.
And I guess you mean partnerships across board. It
Yeah.
can be with churches, it can be with the Muslim community, it can be anywhere. How do we maybe? I think that's what the question. I'm also
Yeah.
interested in knowing from your point.
So for a school, your biggest partner is the parents of the children.
Okay.
That's your first partner. And then at all times, the school leadership must create an avenue for the parents and teachers to know that we are together on the same mission. I know there are certain schools that don't allow direct communication between parents and teachers because sometimes some may abuse that
Yes.
relationship. Then there are also some schools that trust and train their teachers enough to communicate with parents each step of the way. I believe that communication with parents is the best, especially for the teachers, so that at every point in time they know what is happening to their children,
Yes.
and then they know what feedback they'll give you about their children, and then together you know how to make progress. Now, there are also schools that are owned by certain organizations, like churches and mosques and religious entities. These groupies may have a certain idealistic approach to education, where they have certain cultures they want to imbibe in the children. I think that it is essential that the schools create opportunities for these organizations to have a role to play in it. I was a Muslim attending a Catholic institution,
Yeah.
and off air I was telling you some of how the disciplinary measures benefited me, for instance. Yes. So, and there are schools like Wesley Girls where they say the girls are taught how to walk, how to organize their styles, how to do this, how to do that. You have to use those partners and their ideals, so long as it's not negative in the upbringing of the child. You have to use it. Another part of it is mentorship, and that's when organizations like yours and others come in. When children need mentors, for now, we cannot underestimate the importance of mentorship, either peer mentorship or people a little above them. The reason being that if you're not feeling the void, someone is feeling it on the internet, and it could be negative. Yes. And so schools must be deliberate about who is partnering the school in what the children have to know. If it's camps, they want to organize like summer camps. These days we have westernized our schools so much. We have summer camps.
Yeah.
So if you have summer camps, let's have some role models. Fortunately, even some of the parents of the children are role models. Some are musicians who have accomplished. Some are parliamentarians, politicians. Some are medical officers. Some are businessmen of astute, levels. So let those people come in. Let the children see them. Let the children know that this song we are listening to, this is the one who made the song. And this is the person so close to you. You are talking to him, and then you know what it means to be. So these days I see schools have career day, right? This is one of the avenues for children to build, to connect to partners. If you have a hospital, if you have a church, if you have a law firm, if you have an NGO officer, you could bring them to tell you about what they do. You can take the children out to media houses, to the parliament house, to places like that, to go and learn about what happens in those places.
And this applies to both the public and
Absolutely.
private.
Yeah, it can be done. I
Absolutely.
think this can be done.
Yeah.
Yeah, this can be done.
Okay, so we would like to wrap up here.
Yeah.
So, Karim, your final words.
Well, I will first of all say I enjoy being here. It's
Okay.
been an interesting conversation. And I like conversations that trigger my passion.
Yeah, really
One
did.
of my passions is
I
education.
could
I've been
see
teaching for
that
a very
coming
long
up.
time. Maybe, but teaching is a great job. I want to use this opportunity to encourage everyone, especially young teachers who are getting into the profession, to love the profession. It can be a very challenging profession, but there's a lot of satisfaction in knowing that you are influencing lives. That's very, very important. Now we have moved away, like I said, from teaching children to know to teaching children to be. And one of those essential things is leadership and taking responsibility. We need children to be leaders right from the get-go.
Yep.
have ethics. They don't lie.
Yep.
They stand firm to what they believe in, are able to understand each other and talk to each other, are able to collaborate and listen. They are able to adapt to new environment and don't freak out when things are not going the way they think it should go. Are so digitally savvy and sound that they can conduct research, they can reach out, they can use the internet responsibly and then get everything they need to know. And most importantly, they're able to function well within the society, eat well, sleep well, talk well, take enough break and stuff like that. And as much as possible, that falls down on educational institutions like us, and we must do everything possible to make children attain these goals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I must say that I have actually also enjoyed the insights that Hamid gave us on this show today. And honestly, I wish we can have part 2, because I'm beginning to think as we go on the series, I'm trying to compare whose role is actually bigger in nurturing the type of leaders we need in our society, right?
Everyone's role is
I
big.
think maybe at the end of the day, we have to do some kind of a debating. For those who have listened, the most listened, people on our show, they should come on the show and tell us which of the institutions or organizations they think have the most role, the bigger role in nurturing the leaders. But I think the education aspect is also very important. The more he spoke, the more I was like, okay, this is really important. And I wish people who listen to us, especially founders of educational institutions, the teachers, and what it means is that everyone in the educational value chain has a role to play.
Absolutely.
Everyone has a role to play.
Sorry,
Yes.
I don't know where you factor this in. But also, the whole institutional structure is very important, especially the janitors who make sure that the washrooms are clean, who remind the children that when you go, don't forget to flush.
Exactly.
But we also have children of very lower age who even if they're able to flush, it's a big accomplishment.
Yeah.
They're
Wow.
able to target the bowl.
Yeah.
We have to celebrate them for
Yes.
being able
Yes.
to target the bowl
So-
and
so
not
there you
messing
go.
the
Yeah.
ground.
There you
So
go.
everyone is important. Those who give us our food and make sure it's cooked on time
Yes.
every day without missing.
Everyone.
These are all very important. And when the child is well trained, they learn to appreciate everyone across board and then learn to interact with such people.
Yeah.
So one thing you look out for is that the child has spilled the floor. They are going for the mop themselves.
Yeah.
They are not going to call someone to come and mop it. Then there is progress happening.
Yes.
Yeah, so everyone has a role to play. And that is why I love the series we are on. That the nurturing of the type of leaders we need in our society is not supposed to be the responsibility of just one individual or one entity. We all have a role to play. Just like creating a good country for ourselves, everyone has a role to play. And I must say that indeed, education has moved from the traditional way of doing things to hoping that the students or people who pass through education are creative, they can communicate, they can collaborate with people, and then I hope that people who listen to this also share it and let more people listen to it. So it's been an awesome time with Hamid and then you. Yeah.
Okay, so before we draw the cases, we'll play a short game, Hamid.
Okay.
Just pull you in this game. So I'll ask a few questions. You tell me it's a this or that game. So you tell me which you prefer.
Okay.
So a second master's or a PhD?
A PhD.
Hey, here we go. Wow, that's Sly. How about you?
It depends on what the PhD is in or the master's is in, right? So if it is a topic that I'm passionate about, it can be a second master's. If it is a topic that I might move into deeper, it can be a PhD. So it depends.
So your love for TZ?
You're asking a Zongo man. TZ.
Okay, Sly.
No,
jollof.
TZ, come on.
Oh,
TZ
why?
and some good soup. No,
Oh,
I
Ghana
mean,
jollof over TZ.
no, TZ.
One time you
TZ.
should try TZ with ayoyo soup and you will understand.
Oh,
why
I
you are
love
choosing
TZ. I love TZ personally. Okay, so a trip to maybe South Africa or a trip to maybe Bali. Which one would you choose?
To
Bali.
Bali.
Indonesia, huh? I think.
Indonesia.
Yeah, I think Bali, yeah.
I think I have an affinity to Asia, so I have certain things I like about Asia, having come into contact with a lot of Asian students.
Okay.
So I would rather choose Indonesia.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I would love to go and see where Nelson Mandela grew up from, and yeah. So South Africa.
Oh. Okay. Discussing politics or reading a book.
That's straightforward.
I can actually answer for him.
Politics. Yeah.
Okay. How about you, Sly?
Yes, coincidentally, politics, because I've come to believe that politics actually affects a lot of things. People have not come to that realization. In the modern society, politics is determining a lot of things, determining even what we are doing right now, right?
Yeah.
You know, the fact that the light is not on and we have to improvise, you know, to the fact that the ball of kinky can be determined by how politics is done. That is crazy. That is really serious. So politics every day, and that is why I hope we can get it right.
But I have to also say both of us are very good readers too, though.
No, you made your choice. You made your choice. You abandoned the books for politics.
Both of us are good readers.
You have, well, for now, you've shown me you've abandoned the books for politics. Anyway, so we've been talking about the nurturing of exceptional leaders. We've been looking at the role of educational institutions, and we've had the pleasure of hosting Karim and also Sly to help us navigate this very important topic. Thank you so much for joining, and we hope to further explore more on this topic. Maybe you'll be hearing from one of the reps from their subvented agencies or from even the educational service. So, catch you later. Bye.